Hello, this is Rappler Recap, where reporters of Rappler give you a recap of ended by the Duterte government. I'm Rambo Talabong, the defense and the police reporter of Rappler, and with me is Bons Magsambol, the health and education reporter of Rappler. So this is our outline for today for you guys. First is how did the news break, and then what is the accord, and how did it start in the first place? Then the DND's reason for ending it, and lastly, what is the context for ending the accord? I'll start off with how the news broke. Yesterday, it was tweeted by the Collegian, which is the news publication of the University of the Philippines student body, and they announced that the accord of UP and DND has ended. And it came from the Office of the Student Region, sending out an alert to everybody that the UP-DND accord is over, alarming everybody. This is because the UP-DND accord has protected student happiness for decades. And under the UP-DND accord, troops from the Philippine National Police, the military can't enter the university. Department of National Defense did not pursue press releases or the process of releasing this and pushing for this throughout the past few years under Duterte. We're seeing the DND really pushing for active military intervention, the police really wanting to intervene in protests, but ending the accord so abruptly. And it was actually ended 3 days before yesterday. So it has already been ended before it was announced to the public. And it was confirmed by DND Secretary Delfin Lorenzana yesterday evening. It wasn't something that was announced by the DND, but something that was leaked to the public through the student government and through UP students and was later confirmed by Delfin Lorenzana. Now let's talk about how this accord came about and what it is in the first place, why this matters in the first place. Bonds, could you talk about the UPD and the accord?
Okay, thank you, Rambo. So basically, what is the accord? So it was an agreement signed on June 30, 1989 by then UP President Jose Abueva and then Defense Chief Fidel V. Ramos. So the accord laid down the guidelines on the military and police operations inside the university. So it succeeded the 1982 Soto Enrile Accord, which was born out of the struggle against the Marcos dictatorship. Dictatorship, sorry. So basically, magkaiba sila in text but the same in spirit. The Soto Enrile Accord was signed between student leader Sonia Soto and then Defense Minister Juan Ponce Enrile to protect students from the police and military presence in schools, intended to suppress dissent and protest actions. So what happened before the UP-DND Accord? So there's this case of Donato Continente. So he was a staffer of the UP campus publication Philippine Collegian. So he was arrested in June 1989 by the military and the police inside the UP campus. He was interrogated and tortured. He was forced to admit for a crime that he did not commit. So he was later released after serving a shortened sentence. So the UP-DND Accord was signed so that the Continente incident would not happen again. It consists of 8 stipulations. So basically, yung laman niya is prior notification shall be given to the UP admin by the military or police before they could conduct any operations inside the UP campuses. And then the members of the military and police shall not interfere with peaceful protest actions by the UP community inside their campus. And then service of search warrants to any member of the UP community shall be done with prior notification of the UP president or the chancellor, or for some regional units should be the dean. And the arrest or detention of any member of the UP community shall be done after the notification to the UP admin. And of course, no members, ito yung importante din, na no members of the UP community shall be subjected to custodial investigation without prior notice. But yung yung parang isang issue dito na pinag-uusapan din is may legal basis ba to terminate the pact, the deal between the University of the Philippines and the Department of Defense. So according to legal expert Tony Lavinia, walang right yung Defense Department to unilaterally terminate the deal because the deal wala siyang hindi siya nagpo-provide ng exit clause. So what he was saying is that termination should be agreed upon by both parties kasi it is a mutual pact. Ayun, Rambo. Basically, yun yung laman ng UP Accord. UP-DND Accord.
Okay, so bonds right now, we are not sure if the Duterte government can end it really abruptly because for the DND and the Duterte government, it is over. But the UP can assert that no, it's not.
Yes, basically. Kasi it's a mutual pact as a legal expert was saying na parang dapat agreed upon by both parties. And ito din yung sinasabi ni UP President Danilo Concepcion na nirelease ng statement na hindi sila binigyan ng prior notice, hindi nila napag-usapan kung ano yung reason behind the termination and yeah, yun.
Okay, now I'll go to the reasons why the Duterte government really did this, why they wanted to end the UP-DND Accord. And this really did not come as a surprise to many activists and student leaders as well. Even if it was so abrupt, it was something that they saw coming because the Duterte government has been really tight when it comes to dealing with dissent, dealing with activists. Actually, there are lots of protests that have been protected because of the University of the Philippines and the DND Accord, because the Duterte government under the pandemic threatened to really arrest a lot of activists, protesters, violations to quarantine rules. But many protests were held inside the University of the Philippines campuses. If the Duterte government can assert its right, if it has that termination, they can enter the campuses and arrest people for on the grounds of what they're saying are violations of quarantine rules, or doing protests without permit, or violating police orders and military orders. The Duterte government has really been pushing for also opening the University of the Philippines for entrance of the military and the police. I've been covering the police and the military for a few years now, since 2016, and there are incidents when the police and the military have entered the UP grounds, and they have been cited. And according to the police and the military in these occasions, the UP administration was informed. But then again, students are taken aback by the presence of the military and the police. The biggest reason why the Duterte government is ending the UP-DND Accord is, according to the Duterte government, represented by DND Secretary Delfin Lorenzana, the University of the Philippines has become a breeding ground for communist rebels. And this is a claim that is not substantiated by the government, because if they had the evidence to do so, they can file cases, they can publish information that could lead to the surrendering of NPA rebels within the University of the Philippines. But this is a sweeping policy change from the Duterte administration that can affect student activism and will prevent any activism from sprouting forward because of the threat of the military and the police. I was just speaking with UP Diliman, UP Los Baños, UP Cebu, UP Mindanao students this morning. They feel threat of government because the police and military, if they ask to do so, they can enter and threaten students. And the Philippines and secretary, this is a good opening for the government to intervene and prevent more students who can get into activism in the way of being NPA rebels and in the way of being CPP members. And according to student leaders, it's actually a valid form of activism, joining these organizations. But the Duterte government, as we know, declared the CPP NPA as a terrorist organization. President Duterte started out his administration having a good relations with the CPP NPA, but it soured throughout the years because of clashes as well as disagreements politically. And the latest development is President Duterte really declaring them as terrorist organization. And worse for activists and members of the CPP NPA is that President Duterte signed the anti-terror law, which can detain people on mere suspicion, hours of detention without arrest warrant, even when the government can just say that, okay, a person is a suspected member of a terrorist group, they can detain them for days. And people miss that, and that gives the vulnerability possibility of being arrested by the government on mere suspicion. For the Duterte government, this is all a deterring tactic. This is to prevent students from joining CPP and PA activist groups. And, according to protesters and activists, this is a broader threat to student freedom and activism. And we also have to note that the Duterte administration has been very tight when it comes to dealing with critics and activists. Now, Bonds, do you have anything to add to how the Duterte government has handled this and why they closed this? Because from what I understand, even before this too, the Duterte government has been attacking UP students for their activism, even if it's a state university. And allies of the president have been criticizing UP students for their activism.
Yes, Rambo. So, Secretary Lorenzano was saying that the pact was terminated not because President Duterte instructed him to do so, but the president himself threatened to defund the country's premier university in November 2020 for supposedly calling a nationwide strike. But what the president forgot was he cannot just do it because there's actually a law that says that it is the policy of the state to strengthen UP as a national university. So yeah, so basically matagal na parang yung matagal na pinag-iinitan ng Pangulo yung UP because yun nga breeding ground siya for communists and they even threatened to defund the UP na hindi na makakatanggap ng budget. Pero hindi niya basta-basta gagawin yun unless i-abolish ng Congress yung UP, which is next to impossible because alam naman natin na sobrang daming kailangang pagdaanan noon at the same time yung kongreso natin, majority of them came from the UP, right? Okay, so that is the latest for the UP-DND termination issue. Follow us on Rappler.com for updates. I'm Bons Magsambol. You can follow me on Twitter at Bons Magsambol and Rambo Talabo. Thank you so much.